I wanted to give you an update on my situation with my legal matters that are going on in Puerto Rico regarding my nonprofit cat rescue and the illegal seizure of our cats and property from our rescue, and then the subsequent prosecution of me for over 120 criminal charges, including 58 felonies, by an unethical prosecutor who knows that the police raided my house using an illegal search warrant and subsequently never even filed for a seizure order to seize my property. And now he's also put 3 witnesses on the stand in court to lie about me in ways where I have video footage from the day of the raid on my house that proves all 3 of these witnesses have lied against me under oath in a court of law. That's called perjury, and it's a felony. And I assure you that anyone who has taken the stand and lied against me and committed perjury will not only be sued by me and my animal rescue for lying and interfering with the judicial process and contributing to the illegal and unconstitutional charges against me and my rescue, along with the illegal seizure of 82 cats and tens of thousands of dollars of property belonging to both me and my nonprofit animal rescue. But I will also be pursuing criminal charges for perjury to the full extent of the law. Granted, this will be difficult in Puerto Rico because it's such a corrupt place where the police and prosecutors don't like to prosecute their own, especially their own witnesses that they have put on the stand with the sole purpose to lie. Imagine that, the prosecutor that put the witnesses on the stand intentionally knowing they were going to lie against me. You think he's going to prosecute them and bring charges for perjury? Probably not, but that does not prevent me from suing them in civil court, because this whole process has been illegal and unconstitutional from day one. So I just want to give you a little recap of what's gone on since my last video. So back on June 7th of this year, 2024, I had to fly to Puerto Rico in order to be charged and arrested for criminal charges that the prosecutor refused to disclose until my attorney and I were in court for the hearing that morning. At which point, the prosecutor handed my lawyer a stack of papers about this big, representing 120 separate charges of animal abuse and neglect, including 58 felonies. So we sat there in court that day, and completely against all Puerto Rico laws and traditions, which do not allow the media to be present at probable cause hearings, they allowed Teleonce into the courtroom. Note that I have a lawsuit against Teleonce for $2 million from their series of defamatory and false news stories they ran about me back in August. So why was Teleonce allowed into my courtroom for my hearing when the media is never allowed in probable cause hearings in Puerto Rico? Beyond this, at the end of the hearing, where the judge allowed all 120 charges against me to proceed, I was put in handcuffs, and the Teleonce reporter illegally took a picture of me in handcuffs and posted it publicly, despite the fact that no video or audio recordings were allowed in the court that day. So, how many other irregularities were at my hearing that day? Well, it went until 7 o'clock at night, which is highly irregular. Typically, these hearings are done by 4:30 or 5 o'clock at night. They put 3 witnesses on the stand, all 3 of whom lied against me. amateur veterinarian, Dr. Luna, among the many lies that she told, said that when she arrived at my house with the police that morning, it was daylight. Well, anyone that's watched my videos has seen that the raid started at approximately 5:40 in the morning in the pitch black, and the police even brought a 20-foot tall construction spotlight to light up my yard because it was pitch black. Why would she lie about this? It's already on video on YouTube. After that, she also lied and said that I never told her the names of any of my veterinarians during the raid. Okay, well, any of you who've been following my channel have seen a video posted from September 1st where I'm specifically telling her the names of my various veterinarians that we use at our animal rescue. So then who took the stand next? Well, she was the last witness of 3. The first witness was Sergeant Ramos, the one that got the illegal search warrant against me in the first place. He testified that when they showed up at my house at 5:40 in the morning in the pitch black, the gate to my property, wide open. Really? So you think that I spent $15,000 putting up a 6-foot tall privacy fence with a gate after I was already burglarized 4 times, and after Teleonce was sending their reporters to my house every day at the end of August, and you think on September 1st when 15 cops arrived to raid my house that the gate was just miraculously standing open for them? No, it certainly was not. He also testified that he got this search warrant based solely on the complaint of Maria Gonzalez. You might remember, she's the supposed neighbor that actually lives 4 or 5 houses away that owns a resort, who sued me and lost back in November of 2022, and who initiated the entire defamatory news report by Teleonce at the end of August. Well, she went in and filed an official police report on August 25th, stating all these things that she observed on my property. She must have x-ray vision because, as we all know, I have a 6-foot tall wooden privacy fence surrounding the entire property. How did she witness anything? I didn't let her in. She's about 5'2", so she certainly didn't see over the fence. And if Sergeant Ramos had done what he's legally required by law to do and investigate such a complaint before running to a judge and swearing under oath that he has probable cause for a search warrant, he would have come to my house and seen the fence and wondered, perhaps, how could Maria Gonzalez see anything through the 6-foot tall fence? And believe me, Sergeant Ramos has been to my house repeatedly because I was burglarized 4 times in 2022. And prior to that, a power contractor that was working on the power lines backed into my parked car in front of my house in September of 2021, and Sergeant Ramos was the responding officer. So he'd been to my house numerous times. I actually have his cell phone number in my phone because I had such ongoing contact with him, despite the fact that when I first met him, he came on to me and told me how beautiful I was and how it's not safe for such a beautiful woman to be living alone, and how he could help me get my permit to have a concealed firearm in Puerto Rico because he teaches the classes, and he offered to teach me and get me signed up and everything else. Well, I didn't do that, and I don't have a gun, which he knows, which makes it even more obscene that they sent in 15 armed men with guns to kick down my door in the dead of night, surround me as I slept in bed alone, and I wake up. They didn't knock, didn't announce themselves, and I wake up surrounded with 10 cops in my bedroom with guns and flashlights, all because some woman who sued me and harassed me for 2 years made a false police report. And so with zero investigation, they just kick down my door and surround me with guns as I sleep. Okay, so that's old news. We've been over that. Back to the hearing. So those are the highlights of what Ramos testified to. He also testified that when he arrived at my house, he observed cages stacked 4 high. Well, that's a physical impossibility. You can look back at the videos, even the own police video and pictures from the day of the raid, and the news footage from the day of the raid show that our cages were 2 levels, one on the ground and another stacked on top of it. And these are 36-inch giant wire dog crates under my house. The roof, the ceiling under my house was about 8 or 9 feet tall. You cannot stack these cages more than 2 high. Even if you could, I would need a ladder to climb up to anything above the second cage. So why he testified under oath and committed perjury to say the gate was wide open when they got there and these cages were stacked 4 high, things that are obviously easy to verify, is beyond me. And the fact that the prosecutor put on these witnesses after he'd seen these videos, the prosecutor's seen these videos because at the end of the hearing that day, he tried to get a gag order put on me because it really doesn't help his case for me to be putting these videos out with evidence, indisputable proof from the day of the raid, while his witnesses are sitting there lying to the court. So he's suborning perjury, and he knows the warrant was illegal. We got prosecutorial misconduct. We have malicious prosecution. And then, even when his own witness, Adriana Luna, the veterinarian, testified under oath that she could not say that I abused, neglected, or failed to care for any of these cats. That was her testimony to my lawyer's questions. The judge repeated it at the end of the trial after closing arguments had taken place, said that to the prosecutor. Your own witness cannot say that Miss Erickson abused or neglected any of these animals. The judge was ready to throw the whole case out, and then out of nowhere, the prosecutor holds up the law. Here's the law, Your Honor. In Puerto Rico, it's illegal to even possess a sick animal or an animal in poor condition. Well, that's not what the law says, nor am I charged with possession of a sick or injured animal, because that's not a crime. Yet for some reason, when the prosecutor lied through his teeth and told the judge this bold-faced lie, the judge said, okay, then we're proceeding with all 120 charges of animal abuse and neglect, even though the judge had just said how the main witness, Adriana Luna, said that I did not abuse or neglect a single animal. There was no proof of it, but yet I ended up charged with it. And so then the judge set bond at $1,000 per felony, $58,000. Well, that's pretty much unheard of in Puerto Rico. I've looked up the very few animal abuse cases that have ever gone to trial, and a typical bond amount is about $5,000. How me, running a registered non-profit 501c3 animal rescue that rescues sick and injured cats from the streets, gets a bond of $58,000 for 58 felonies. It's just another convenient abnormality of my case. So that's what happened at that hearing. And then I left, and because it's ghetto Puerto Rico and everything's broken, the fingerprint machine was broken in Mayagüez. So after sitting there for 10 hours, being handcuffed and leg shackled and put in a disgusting, filthy Puerto Rico jail cell, bonding out, finally thinking I'm going home. Oh no, we got to take your fingerprints and mug shots, but because this is a ghetto rundown piece of trash police station where everything is broken, the fingerprint machine's broken, so we had to drive 45 minutes to Aguadilla and wait there for over an hour just to get my fingerprints and mug shot taken. Okay, fine. So then I got home, and then no longer do I get home that the prosecutor files a motion to revoke my bail. Well, he already tried that at my hearing. The judge had set my bail at $58,000. Then my lawyer got it reduced to $27,500, which is $500 per felony. The prosecutor argued at that time that I should get no bail, sit in jail for 6 months to a year pending trial, even though I'm an innocent person who's not been convicted of anything. And the Puerto Rico law clearly states right here, Puerto Rico laws 34A section 2 rule 218, every person arrested for any offense shall be entitled to be released on bail or a condition or combination of condition imposed pursuant to subsection C of this rule until convicted, stating, because we are all innocent until proven guilty, and there's so much police corruption in Puerto Rico that God knows most people arrested aren't even guilty, and ultimately the charges are dropped. So there's no need to be holding me with no bail. They have my address, I'm a homeowner, I work, I'm not some flight risk. So he filed the motion that I had to fly back to Puerto Rico on June 20th, only to have the hearing postponed. So I left, and then I had to come back July 2nd because the prosecutor again filed his bail revocation motion, fly to Puerto Rico July 2nd, and the prosecutor didn't even present the motion to the court. He is strictly harassing, intimidating me, costing me money, malicious prosecution, complete lack of ethics. He knows he has no case, but he wants to keep making me appear over and over and over again. Well, in the meantime, I have to worry because under no legitimate circumstances would my bail be revoked, but under legitimate circumstances, I also would not be charged with 120 crimes, including 58 felonies. So, do you know what that's like? Imagine what that's like. Having to go back to a corrupt Caribbean island where you've already been illegally charged with all these crimes, had your door kicked in the dead of night with an illegal warrant, all your property and animals taken from you, $27,000 bail, and then they immediately move to revoke your bail. And it's a real possibility. So here I had to make full arrangements in case I had to sit in jail in Puerto Rico for the next year pending trial. This is emotional terrorism, it's harassment, it's malicious prosecution, especially because he's well aware that all three of his witnesses lied on the stand. So now, at that hearing, the bail revocation hearing, where he did not present the motion to revoke my bail, I think he was hoping I showed up late so he could sneak in and yank my bail, but of course, when I showed up early and on time, he didn't dare with this new female judge I have that seems very no nonsense. She probably would have taken the motion and beat him with it if he tried to present it. And instead, he wanted a gag order to prevent me from saying anything else about precious Dr. Luna, Miss Petite Teen Puerto Rico. How can anyone say anything bad about this veterinarian? Okay, well, I've not said anything bad about her other than what my own videos show on the day of the illegal police raid, where she's using infected gloves, handling ringworm kittens, handling kittens with the herpes virus and upper respiratory infection, goopy eyes, runny nose. Have it on video, and I called her out on the video to say, look at this veterinarian doesn't even change her gloves before handling highly contagious kittens and then going on to handle brand new newborn healthy kittens. So he's trying to get a gag order on me for that? Subsequently, at this hearing, this probable cause hearing, Dr. Luna testified that those same kittens that she handled with infected ringworm, herpes, upper respiratory infected gloves died several days after she seized them from my house. She said the mother rejected them. Yeah, mother cats will reject their own kittens if they become ill and infected with disease. And prior to her seizing them from my house and infecting them with 3 separate contagious diseases, they were perfectly healthy and nursing with their mother. And on the stand, when she was talking about how these animals died, she admitted she had no way to know how they died because they didn't conduct a necropsy on a single one of the animals that died in their care after they seized them from my house and rescue, where they were getting proper care through protocols prescribed by our veterinarians. They took all our medicine, all our records, all our cats, and then they did not care for them properly. And that's not a stretch. If you see this vet on camera committing malpractice and making mistakes that even rescuers without a veterinary license, I don't know a single cat rescuer who would handle contagious ringworm kittens and then go handle healthy kittens. That's like Vet Tech 101. You don't need to be a doctor of veterinary medicine to know that ringworm, herpes, and upper respiratory infection in kittens are highly contagious, and that you must disinfect your hands after handling them. She didn't change her gloves or disinfect her hands after handling any of the cats until I called her out on it. But anyway, so I went back to Puerto Rico July 2nd. The prosecutor didn't even present his bail revocation motion, yet he demanded that I stop making any videos or social media posts about precious Dr. Luna. Well, I hadn't made a single post or video about her since prior to being charged criminally, and nothing that I said or posted about her violates any sort of rights that she has as a witness in this case. The First Amendment of the U.S. Constitution clearly grants me the right to do exactly what I'm doing right now. I can speak, I can talk about my opinions, I can show videos taken on my own property of these people, and give my commentary. What I cannot do is threaten, harass, or intimidate witnesses, and I've done none of that. I'm here to present the truth, and that is the biggest threat to the prosecutor that there is, and the number one reason he's continually trying to gag me from speaking. Of course, after the probable cause hearing where Dr. Luna took the stand and lied and then had a breakdown out in the parking lot, she's failed to appear for any subsequent hearing. She was supposed to appear at the next hearing on June 20th. She didn't appear, but said she'd appear by Zoom. Well, that's not allowed. This is a criminal trial. I am on trial facing 58 felonies and 60 or 70 misdemeanors. The Sixth Amendment to the U.S. Constitution guarantees me the right to confront my accusers, and that's exactly what I intend to do. You can't appear by Zoom. Rape victims can't appear by Zoom. Child molestation victims can't appear from their home via Zoom. In certain cases, they might be able to be in the judge's chambers and testify. They gotta go to court. That is the American justice system. You can't phone it in. I mean, just because it's uncomfortable and you've been caught in lies and made to look like a fool on the stand doesn't mean that you get to sit home from your office and testify by Zoom because that's more convenient and comfortable to you. You can't get gag orders on people to restrict their First Amendment rights to free speech. And the judge in my case said that very clearly in court at my last hearing, that I have a First Amendment right to my protected speech. And the speech that is not protected, as I said, are threats, harassment, intimidation. I've not done that. I've said my opinion. I've repeated the facts of my case. And if you are involved in my case and you take the stand or you come to my house, I can certainly say what I observed and my opinions of what I observed during those occasions. And that is all I'm doing. So my next hearing is August 12th and 13th, where the prosecutor again has to present all their evidence against me, and where we do not have an opportunity to do anything other than cross-examine their witnesses. But that's fine, because at this point, their witnesses are locked into the stories and lies that they told at the first hearing. And the prosecutor at this point has witnessed their lies, witnessed my videos that prove that they're lying, and he has to make a choice. Is he going to continue to suborn perjury, meaning putting witnesses on the stand knowing they are going to lie? in pursuing these charges against me, knowing the search and seizure was completely illegal on many grounds. As I mentioned earlier, Sergeant Ramos testified that upon receiving the complaint from Maria Gonzalez, he did no investigation and went and swore out a search warrant. That invalidates the entire search warrant. That's not how this works. I can't just go file a complaint about my neighbor and have 15 cops kick down their door in the dead of night. The U.S. Constitution, specifically the Fourth Amendment, protects U.S. citizens against unreasonable search and seizure from any government agents, including the police. So, through his own testimony, not to mention the fact they didn't announce themselves, the warrant wasn't signed by a judge, it was conducted in the dark when it specifically was supposed to be conducted during daylight hours, and numerous other fatal defects with this warrant, the prosecutor's own witness testified essentially that the whole warrant and search and seizure were illegal from the get-go, yet he's continuing to prosecute this case. Little does he know that as of this past week, the top federal civil rights attorney in Puerto Rico has agreed to take my case. She doesn't take just any case. She's extremely selective in the cases she takes on, and they must have overwhelming evidence. She's never lost a federal jury trial in over 30 years, and she's taking my case. She's seen the evidence, she's seen what these police and prosecutor have done to me, and she knows this case is a slam dunk. But yet the prosecutor continues to dig the hole deeper and deeper for the police and government of Puerto Rico. If they would have just dropped this from the get-go and given back my cats and property, I'd still be suing them in federal court for the illegal raid of my home and rescue and taking my cats and having 20 of them die in the first week and slandering me on the news. But when you charge a person with 58 felonies and 120 criminal charges, you've just brought my lawsuit to a whole new level. Because this should have ended. First off, it shouldn't have happened, but it should have ended back in January when we filed our lawsuit demanding the return of our illegally seized cats and property. But my lawyer was right, and he said, Erica, if you sue the police and the government to get your cats and property back, they're going to arrest you. And I said, I don't care. I have a responsibility to these cats. My whole life is rescuing cats, and I'm not walking away from them to let the incompetent, disgusting, corrupt, cruel Puerto Rico police and government kill the rest of them. If I have to fight this in court to the end and I have to be arrested, so be it. We will prevail. We will get these cats back, we'll get the property back, and then we'll sue them for these horrendous violations of my constitutional rights. And now we're real close to doing it because the statute of limitations to file a federal civil rights lawsuit in Puerto Rico is 1 year. Well, they conveniently waited for over 9 months to charge me with any of these crimes, just like my lawyer said. It was after I filed the case to get my cats back that suddenly they're interested in prosecuting me 9 months later. So now we're in July. We will be filing our federal civil rights case before September 1st. The police, maybe the prosecutor, depending if we can actually show that his immunity doesn't apply in this case, since he is intentionally and knowingly engaging in malicious prosecution and subornation of perjury. We'll see if we can get him on the case. But anyone who's taken the stand and lied against me and committed perjury and contributed to the illegal police raid on my home and rescue in violation of my constitutional rights will be facing not only civil rights lawsuits, but we will be pursuing criminal charges for anyone who takes a stand and perjures themselves. And we have very clear evidence of perjury so far. So the next hearing in August, let's see who shows up. Do you want to take the stand and lie twice? Do Do it. Makes my case stronger. Everything you say is recorded. It's on record. And I got videos showing the truth. So let's see who shows up in August. You know who didn't show up on June 20th? 2 out of the 3 witnesses that testified against me at the probable cause hearing. Sergeant Ramos, who got the bogus search warrant, who lied and said my gate was wide open when they arrived, so they just walked right in. Dr. Luna wasn't there. Dr. Arce, the other vet present on the day of the raid, who was also in charge of the Mayaguez Zoo when they had their USDA zoo permit revoked. She wasn't there. One of the other cops wasn't there. Solimar Crespo, who has my cats, the incompetent woman who runs a horse rescue and has never owned cats in her life and had 20 of my cats die on her watch within the first week or 2, she didn't show up. Wonder why? Why aren't these people showing up? Perhaps because they realize if they take the stand and lie, there will be serious consequences. And they know that I have civil lawsuits against numerous people involved in this case, including Maria Gonzalez. So, what's it worth to you to destroy me and my rescue? Is it worth committing perjury? Is it worth a civil lawsuit, which could bankrupt you and destroy not only your finances, but your reputation? It's amazing how many people came together in this conspiracy on September 1st to raid my home and rescue, take my cats from me, take my property from me, parade me in front of the news, throw me in the back of a police car, drive me to the police station when I wasn't even under arrest. You know, put on a big show for the media. They were all gloating and cheering. Now what? Now you're too much of a coward to even show up in court because you're taking the stand and lying, and now you realize the fun and games are over. You keep lying on the stand, there will be consequences. So, we need as many supporters as we can at the hearing, August 12th and 13th in Mayaguez. You know how it is in Puerto Rico, things hinge on appearances and popularity contests. So I think at this point, we're gaining some steam. We have thousands of supporters. We've been on the news. We got 12,000 subscribers here on our YouTube channel. Our videos are being seen. Check out the videos. Unlike these people, I don't just run my mouth telling lies. I post my proof. They have no proof of anything. The most honest thing Dr. Luna has said in court was that she could not testify that I abused or neglected or failed to care for any of my cats. Yet at the end of that hearing, I was charged with 120 counts of animal abuse and neglect. How does that work? The judge even repeated it at the end of the hearing. Prosecutor, your own witnesses cannot testify that Ms. Erickson abused or neglected any of these animals. And then he charges me with the 120 counts of animal abuse and neglect. How does that work? In America, it doesn't work. Puerto Rico, different story. They're not a big fan of the Constitution or people having civil rights. They let the prosecutors and the police run roughshod over innocent people because they can, especially outsiders, people who are not Puerto Rican, who move there. They love to target them, especially on the west side of the island where I was living. It's all gringa, go home, we don't want you. White savior, we don't need your help. Well, as far as cat rescue goes, yes, you do. Because you know your government solution? It's to violate Law 154, the animal protection laws of Puerto Rico, failing to provide animal services across the island while paying extermination companies $200 to $300 per animal. Cats, dogs, puppies, and kittens. Round them up off the streets and kill them. Instead of providing animal services, instead of working with nonprofit animal rescues as required by law, this is their response. kick down the door illegally of an animal rescue, take the cats that we'd already saved from the streets, neglect them to death, and then charge me with 120 counts of abuse and neglect. Well, they're running around paying thousands of dollars, if not millions of dollars, to round up as many animals as they can and just kill them. Why don't you give that money to nonprofit rescues? Or at least if you're not going to give it to nonprofit rescues, how about you stop kicking down their doors and taking their animals when we're doing the job that the law requires the government of Puerto Rico to do? I'm sick of it. You know, I shouldn't be having to flee the island, face 58 felonies, fly there every other week for bogus bail revocation hearings, have these people take the stand and lie against me, have Teleonce sneaking into the courtroom and taking pictures illegally of me in handcuffs, because Teleonce, we're suing them for millions. So their only remedy to that is to see that I'm convicted, because if I'm convicted of any of these things, well, then I can't sue them for defamation. They went on TV in August and called me an animal abuser, saying I don't take care of my cats, putting stories on that I light cats on fire to get donations. What's the basis of that? So that's why they're the only news channel showing up at my hearings and slandering me over and over on the news, because they have a vested interest to see me convicted. Is that why the prosecutor is going hard to Teleonce pay them off? Maybe, maybe not. Is it corruption? Is it incompetence? It's usually a mix of both. But I think their number one motivation in charging me and coming at me like this is because they know I'm going to be suing them for millions of dollars in federal court. And once again, the only way to really prevent my federal lawsuit against them is to convict me. So they're going as hard at me as they can. But their case is garbage. Their witnesses are liars. It's already been proven, and yet they're still pursuing this case. So, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to our channel, like our videos, share our videos. We have a petition circulating calling on the Puerto Rico government to drop all charges against me and return my cats. And we need your help. So, please share our posts, like our videos, and you can also email the prosecutor while you're at it. Tell him that you're watching. Tell him that you're aware. You've seen the evidence. You've seen the lies. You've seen the bogus search warrant. Let him know that you're onto him and you're watching. The world is watching. His email will be on the screen. So, Andres Fernandez Vera is the prosecutor.